Alex Smith as the players emerge to a tremendous reception. Charlie Nicholas going out, Alec McLeish behind him. Ian Jess behind Alec McLeish. Ryan Grant bringing up the rear. Substitutes following out. Ryan Irvine and Willem van der Aert for Aberdeen. John Brown and Ian McCall for Rangers. So the players lining up now for the introductions before the match. President of the Scottish Football League, Jack Steedman of Clydebank, leading out Mr. John McKenzie, who is the Managing Director of Alloa Brewery Company Limited. The sponsors. Tim Farry, the League Secretary, also at the back. So the officials wasting no time about these introductions. They appreciate the players are very anxious to get on with things. And through to the match officials. George Smith in the middle from Edinburgh, handling his fourth major final. He's had 2 Scottish Cup finals. This is his second Skol Cup final in a row. He was in charge in that marvellous match a year ago, which Rangers won by 3-2. Linesman this afternoon, Mr. Gossett from Glasgow, Mr. Fox from Galston. So I think you can take it the players' minds really are on the match rather than on the introductions. James Souness having a few words along the line with his players. Alex Smith savouring the winning number 8 will play in midfield. So the team on very familiar lines. Mark Walters also fit to play wide on the left, and the front 2, Ali McCoist and Mo Johnston. So there's Ali McCoist. He's a record breaker in the Skol Cup so far. He leads with 5 goals in the competition. That will get him a Caribbean holiday if it stays that way. There's his record. 9 goals this season in all, and looking for his 6th Skol Cup winners medal. And Ian Ferguson must represent something of a gamble for Rangers this afternoon. He hasn't played since being injured about 3 weeks ago. 22-year-old with 3 caps. There's that transfer fee when he came to Rangers from St Mirren nearly 2 years ago. Well, Aberdeen manager Alex Smith had lots of considerations about his lineup, and he's left Brian Irvine alongside Willem van der Aert on the bench. Ryan Grant wears number 4 to play in the middle of the field alongside Jim Bett, Paul Mason and Robert Connor, and young Ian Jess is selected to play up front. So there's Charlie Nicholas. So he is anxious to break his scoring duck. He hasn't scored this season at all, which is really quite remarkable. He did score in a League Cup final way back in 1981 for Celtic. So Nicholas, a key man up front, and his striking partner this afternoon, the youngest player on the field. He was signed for Rangers before being released and then going up to Aberdeen. 18 years old, he won't be 19 until December, starting only his 8th first-team match. The referee, one of Scotland's most experienced officials, 46-year-old civil servant from Edinburgh, George Smith, who handled last year's final with such calmness and authority. He was in charge of the Celtic Rangers Cup final of 1980 and the Celtic Dundee United final of 1988. So a very experienced match official. So the opening stage of the match sure to be crucial. Aberdeen still smarting after that 3-1 defeat against Aberdeen in the league 8 days ago at Pittodrie. And Rangers coming to this match after a good victory against Dundee United in the league. So a tremendous build-up of noise around Hampden. 63,000 people waiting for referee George Smith to get the 44th League Cup final underway. So a calm check around the stadium. The referee checks with his linesman. It's Aberdeen who'll start the match. And it's back with Brian Grant. Johnston making a challenge. Just a bit of involvement here for Chris Woods. He'll relish this early touch of the ball after his shoulder injuries earlier in the season. Just 8 matches so far for Rangers. McLeish going up with Johnston. Here's David Robertson. Nicholas through the middle on his own for the moment. Supported there by Mason. Gough's interception. There's Ferguson and Walters. Ferguson relishing being involved McCoist sends it back. There's Stuart Munro. Wilkins to Gough. Wilkins and Ferguson are the central midfield players for Rangers. Stephen on the right, Walters on the left. And Jim Bett lays it back calmly to McLeish. Here's Snelders calling for a touch of the ball. Goalkeeper's always anxious to get that first touch. McLeish calming things down at the back for Aberdeen. So Gary Stevens wins that high ball, but he's been given a free kick for the challenge made by young Ian Jess. A man with a very bright future in the game, but what a major occasion this is for him, a day he'll never forget. Gough plays it forward. There's Johnston with the layoff. He was taken late by Willie Miller. Well, the referee keeping a very tight grip on things because he could have allowed the advantage rule, and Willie Miller's little outburst there being picked up by the referee. Well, referee George Smith stamping his authority on the match very early on. And it's Wilkins with a free kick. Gough has gone forward, so has Butcher. It's Johnston who gets the touch. And behind for the Aberdeen goalkeeper. All a bit tense and nervous early on, Ian.
Well, both teams feeling each other out at this particular stage, but I think Rangers, you know, have got to think of other ways of getting the ball up to McCoist and Johnston other than knocking long balls, which I have seen them do this season, and I don't think it's a good ploy at all. I think they've got to play through midfield and then give the boys a better service.
Willie Miller going across the bows of McCoist. Here's Mason. Nicholas with a return pass. He was taken late by Gough. Very hefty challenge there on Charlie Nicholas by Richard Gough after he released a very fine pass to Jim Bett. Well, this is certainly not messing about, that's for sure. There's Nicholas laying off the pass and taking that thumping challenge late from Gough. Well, we've now seen Johnston take a hefty blow from Willie Miller. Now it's Nicholas' turn from Richard Gough. Is this an indication of what we're about to see in?
Well, that always happens in the game, you know. There's a little tit for tat, you know. One of your forwards gets a bang, so a big defender at the other end has a go at the opposing forward. I hope the game doesn't degenerate into a kicking match, because the stage is not about that, is it? It's about playing football, playing entertaining stuff today.
Well, the Aberdeen physio, Davy Welly, been given plenty of time by the referee to attend to Charlie Nicholas. Perhaps the referee has in mind that a little bit of a delay now might not do any harm to calm things down out there. Well, Nicholas certainly is used to hefty treatment, but he didn't welcome that, that's for sure. The free kick being taken by McLeish. And Chris Woods calling to Gary Stevens to leave that to him. And no misunderstanding there. Johnston getting up well again. Here's Walters. Trying to take on McKimmie. And there will be a free kick. Bit of obstruction there by McKimmie. To prevent Walters getting off his mark. Another opportunity for the Rangers central defenders, Terry Butcher and Richard Gough, to make their way into the box. Here's Walters. Headed away by Connor. Wilkins retrieves it. Difficult one for Stephen. No room at all to turn. He knew the challenge was coming in from Robert Connor. And he's quite happy to take this throw. Gary Stevens to Wilkins. Held down by Miller. Good dummy that by Bett. Here's Mason. Looking at a run from McKimmie on the right. He was impeded surely by Walters. No, the referee saw nothing wrong with that. Well, Mason certainly was obstructed there by Ian Ferguson. Free kicks already taken. Laid wide by Connor for Robertson. Good running by David Robertson. He's away from Stevens. Here's Jess. Going against Gary Stevens. Good play by Wilkins and by Stephen. Johnston using Wilkins again. point of attack switch to the left by Gary Stevens for Butcher. McCoist had space, had he been able to control that. There's Connor now for Aberdeen. Great play by Jess. Well, that'll give him a great boost to his confidence. Long ball forward from Bett. And a good leap and fine header by Richardson. Very encouraging bit of play that from Ian Jess.
Looks a talented young boy. I hope he settles into the game well and we see his talents today. It is a big occasion for him, but I mean, he's got some very good players around him, and Aberdeen play good football. You know, they play good studied football, so he should get plenty of service.
David Robertson stepping in, cutting off that pass intended for Johnston. The referee wants the throw taken, several yards further back. Robertson with a header. The Rangers continuing to press on the right flank. Gary Stevens capable of a long throw. Butcher has gone into the box. Target there was Butcher, there he goes. And Walters almost get in there. Well, the Aberdeen players upset about that challenge by Walters, but Stuart McKimmie here is almost penalised for waiting for the ball to reach him. Just look at this, and Walters it was who stepped in. Had to be turned away by McLeish. Well, that could have been costly for Aberdeen. Corner taken by Stephen. Towards Wilkins. That was well read by Bett. And a fine pass. There's Nicholas. Tried to play that through the legs of Stevens. The layoff from McCoist, taken in the back by Willie Miller. The free kick to Rangers. Well, we're still there waiting for the play to settle down, and referee Smith is doing all he can to ensure that things remain calm out there. McCoist looking for space. It's Gary Stevens with the free kick. Bringing it in low towards McCoist. Fine piece of play that. The rehearsed move. Richard Gough with a layoff, trying to return the ball to McCoist.
Well, Rangers, obviously with the big fellas up there, normally knock the ball high, so they've come up with a little idea and it almost worked for them.
A good inventive play from the set piece. There's Walters, challenged in the back by McKimmie. Good sharp tackle that by Stuart Munro. McKimmie. Touched on there by Nicholas, too far ahead of Jess. A long ball from Stevens.
See, that's what I was talking about, Jock. I really do think that that's just a wasted ball. And the Rangers, you know, every time I see them, I see so many balls played from way inside their own half, just knocked right through, and it runs through the goalkeeper. I do believe they've got to find the midfield players, and Wilkins would want to take it because that's the kind of player he is, and I think they've got to play through that midfield.
Well, pass back there from Stuart Munro. Getting off the head of McLeish. There's David Robertson. Walters holding off McKimmie. Paul Mason wins it for Aberdeen. Now Nicholas coming deep. Giving a difficult ball there to Bett, who was fouled by Ferguson. Free kick already taken by Aberdeen. Across it goes to David Robertson. Here's Jess. That's good control. Good tackle by Gough. Now Wilkins. Well read by Connor. Wilkins involved again. Playing with lots of energy and enthusiasm in midfield, Ray Wilkins. Speculation about his Rangers career coming to an end. But he's certainly got his mind on the job this afternoon. There's Gough. Clearance by Miller. Here's Jess. That's good play. Here's Jim Bett running at the Rangers defence, looking for a free kick. He thought he was impeded there by Butcher. The referee had a very good view of that and disagreed. Bett trying to use his acceleration from midfield. He had no support. Well, that's great play by Walters. He's away from McKimmie. Johnston and McCoist wait in the middle. Trevor Stephen arriving late. There's McCoist. Well tackled by McLeish. Superb piece of defending there by McLeish. And Munro did enough with that interception to concede the throw to Aberdeen.
Well, Mark Walters looks to be on form this afternoon, and he's been giving McKimmie a bit of trouble down that side, and I think if Rangers, you know, can get the ball out to him, we could see something happening from that left wing.
So the throw on the far side taken by Jim Bett for Aberdeen. This is McLeish. And Robertson. Connor has come to the left touchline ahead of Robertson. That was intended for Nicholas. Won by Ferguson for Wilkins. That's good play at midfield from Rangers. Looking for Mo Johnston with the pass. A bit of interplay there involving Wilkins and Stephen, looking promising for Rangers for a moment. The marking is very tight. There's not much on for Connor. It's one from Mason to chase with Munro. Good defending there by Stuart Munro. He's clearly frustrated that the throw has gone to Aberdeen. Well, a very interesting tussle over on the far side, Paul Mason and Stuart Munro. There's McKimmie with the throw. Nicholas shows himself inside. Here's Johnston now for Rangers. And some service there to Walters. McCoist makes the run. The covering player is Willie Miller. And Miller turned out behind for the corner kick before he was bumped there by McCoist. He clearly thinks it was a foul, but the referee says a corner kick it is.
It looks to me as if the referee and Willie Miller have fallen out somewhat, because that looked a foul against McCoist as far as I was concerned.
No, I don't know about that. Ian felt that the player played the ball first and went for the corner. An inevitable collision after that. But here's the corner from Trevor Stephen. Here's Walters. Stephen accepts another corner kick. A very important phase in the match as Rangers press for the opener. Richard Gough and Terry Butcher in the midst of things in the box. And Johnston going up unchallenged at the far post. Well, the angle was very tight indeed, but question marks here. Theo Snelders decided to leave that, and Johnston headed it against the post.
Well, Stuart McKimmie was the marker again, and that's McKimmie's been caught at both posts. And well done, Mo Johnston. I mean, he really has got spring heels, the little fella.
Here's Willie Miller. Johnston causing problems again for the Aberdeen defence. McLeish building from the back. Using Willie Miller. That's intended for Mason, and good goalkeeping there by Woods. Mason testing the pace of Munro. The clock says 15 minutes, and the score sheet remains blank. Rangers having more pressure in that opening spell. Here goes Walters again, looks very much in the mood. The throw taken quickly. Here's Johnston trying to get away from Miller. Wilkins available again. Played across there by Grant towards Nicholas. That's great play by David Robertson. Fine piece of acceleration there. McCoist being pressure on Butcher, but Wilkins comes to the skipper's aid. This is Stephen. Good running there by Gary Stevens. David Robertson's with him. And the corner kick has been given. The linesman gave that immediately. David Robertson looked upset about it. So did Robert Connor. Two very quick players indeed. David Robertson and Gary Stevens going for that ball. So it's Butcher again. The far corner of the box this time. Gough is on the near post. Stephen with the outswinger. Put away by Jess. There's no one in that gap for Aberdeen. Gary Stevens returns it, looking for Butcher or Gough. It was Gough he found. And it's behind for an Aberdeen goal kick. Well, Rangers having the bulk of the pressure, Ian, but they're not showing too many signs of breaking through.
No, we've had a couple of escapes there at both times at the far post, but other than that, you know, I think the Aberdeen boys are handling the pressure well.
Here's Ian Ferguson. Stevens coming from the right. The pass comes off Connor. So here's Gary Stevens with the throw. McCoist will hit flick on. The angle wasn't right for Johnston. So Aberdeen still really to be seen in an attacking sense in the match. They've looked very resilient at the back and busy in midfield, but still very few chances for Charlie Nicholas and Ian Jess up front to demonstrate the talent. Gough with the interception in the air. Robertson playing it wide, looking for Mason. Here's Jim Bett. Switching play now. Inviting teammates to make space. Here's McKimmie and Mason. Jim Bett playing it forward, but Robert Connor was caught on his heels when that pass was released. Good touch on again by McCoist. Moore's going across in front of Johnston. Wilkins to Stephen. There's Stevens. Hadn't quite enough space to get away from Ian Jess. McLeish coming to offer himself for the throw. Nicholas very deep. Here's McLeish. Aberdeen trying to have a three-pronged attack whenever they have possession, with Jess on the left, Nicholas in the middle and Mason on the right. Great header on by Johnston to McCoist. Here's Walter. Stephen is free on the right. The interception was made by Connor, but he used an arm. And the referee is going to take action against Robert Connor. Well, it's the first booking of the match for the Aberdeen number 10. Promising move this from Rangers. Johnston, McCoist and then Walters. The Walters pass, which was stopped there by the right arm of Connor.
Well, that's very harsh. As far as I'm concerned, Connor said he's back to the ball and he was running away, and the ball hit him on his arm. I think that's a very, very harsh decision by the referee.
Well, certainly Connor will feel a bit unfortunate there. Well, two hefty tackles have gone in. There's been no yellow card for that, but that technical infringement. There's Johnston, cleared by McLeish. Johnston's offside, taken there late by Miller. The whistle had gone, and Johnston making light of that, but it wasn't half a hefty tackle from Miller.
Well, Jim Bett, if that ball had gone in it, Jim Bett would have been held responsible there, because he tried to be very clever on the edge of his own box. You know, in a situation like that, you've just got to get it away.
David Robertson. Good play again by Jess, but he was hustled there by Wilkins. The tackle on the back is penalised. It's a free kick to Aberdeen. Well, the first touch of young Ian Jess is very impressive, isn't it?
Oh, it was delightful when he killed the ball, turned and was on his way, and you know, I didn't think that Wilkins had done anything wrong either. I thought he slid in, got the ball. I think the referee at this particular point has been a little bit petty.
Smith, the referee, giving that free kick to Aberdeen. Here's Jim Bett. Stevens came to meet him. Grant now to Connor. The looping cross. Gough doing well as he slipped to get his head to the ball. And a free kick given to Aberdeen. The referee indicating foot up in a challenge there. Well, Ian Ferguson protesting bitterly about that. The referee will have a word with him, and this will end up in a marvellous opportunity for Aberdeen. But that infringement not at all clear. The referee spotted it instantly, and he indicated it was dangerous play with a foot being raised too high. So we'll see here what the infringement was. There was Ian Ferguson. He certainly appeared to be trying to play the ball. That's his complaint. But the referee has given the free kick, and an opportunity for a rehearsed move from Aberdeen. Moving the wall back the full 10 yards. Nichols is there, Connor is there, Bett is there. All of them have scored from free kicks outside the box. Here's Connor, lofting it in. The header from Mason. Aberdeen are ahead. 22 minutes of the first half gone. Paul Mason, the Aberdeen leading goal scorer, gives Aberdeen the lead. The ball breaking off the wall, a delightful ball in there from Connor. Mason getting up there with Munro. Woods was caught in no man's land, and that's what has given Aberdeen the lead. Paul Mason's 7th goal of the season. Woods came and stopped, left himself stranded, and Mason took full advantage.
Well done, young Paul Mason, but you have to say that it was poor defending by Rangers. I thought the goalkeeper might have come all the way and had a punch at it. Munro was caught on his heels, and Mason just got a couple of inches above him to nod it in.
So there's the scoreline. Aberdeen in the lead. Paul Mason, the scorer, and that would certainly give a big travelling support from Liverpool a lot of pleasure, because Paul Mason has a busload of fans up from his hometown of Liverpool to support him this afternoon. And they've seen him give his team the lead midway through the first half. Well, Aberdeen scarcely seen in attacking sense in the match up till that point. Made that attack count, and Rangers, of course, will be feeling even more aggrieved about the free kick decision against Ian Ferguson. Certainly developing into yet another humdinger, Ian.
Well, it's all set up now, you know. That's the first of the goals of the afternoon, and we'll see if Rangers can fight back, get on terms.
The Aberdeen fans delighted. Certainly entitled to be. First glimpse of goal in the match for Aberdeen, and Paul Mason took full advantage. So Charlie Nicholas has seen his team take the lead. He's still looking for his first goal of the season. He's certainly a big occasion player. There's Jim Bett. Now Grant. Into the gap there for Jess. And Richard Gough went all the way with him, and Gough thought the ball had carried over for the goal kick. The linesman on the spot disagreed. Cleared by McKimmie. McKimmie will certainly be thoroughly relieved, because he's been involved in a couple of bits of hesitation inside his own box, which have not yet been punished, and he's also watched Paul Mason score the open. Bett goes down, hustled by Johnston. Here's Connor. Now Nicholas. Tackled well by Gough. Connor hustling forward again and wins the throw off Stevens. Here's Jess. Bett back to Grant. On the far side, McKimmie. There's Mason with a return pass. These two developing a great understanding, McKimmie and Mason on the right for Aberdeen. And a bit of carelessness there from Ian Ferguson on the pass back. Corner kick it is to Aberdeen. So Wilkins on the post, on one post, Stephen on the other. Every Rangers player in the penalty area to defend. Here's McLeish, scored once already this season with a header. McLeish up well again, led away by Johnston. Here's Grant. Delightful little chip, dumped away by Butcher. Here's Bett. Aberdeen trying to keep the pressure on. McKimmie lofting it in. Gary Stevens should be able to deal with this. And Mo Johnston has found space. Holds off Jim Bett. Ferguson to Wilkins. What a superb match this is turning out to be once again. Here's Grant. In the middle of the field was Mason. Ferguson made the challenge, a good one. Munro sends it back. Good play from Gary Stevens. McCoist comes short for the pass. Couldn't control it. Well, Aberdeen undoubtedly have had the start they wanted very badly indeed. Get themselves back on the rails. They're looking to get in front early on. They've managed that. And they've carried lots of menace. On the odd occasion when they managed to get forward. McLeish first to the ball, a chase for Jess with Butcher. Calm defending by Butcher. Head flick on from McCoist, goes straight to David Robertson. It's not giving young Ian Jess much chance to capitalise up front. Ball still in play with Walters. Great running by Munro. McCoist, Johnston, Stephen are all up in support. Ian Ferguson coming late. There's Munro. Came off Willie Miller and Snelders was able to keep the ball in play. Willie Miller was the player intercepting that shot from Munro, but some fine play by Rangers on the left. Walters was the player who released Stuart Munro. He came into his weaker foot, the right, saw the chance for the shot at goal, and Miller did enough for Aberdeen.
Well, I think Aberdeen have got Rangers a bit rattled now, and when I'm looking at Rangers and wondering how they're going to create a goal here, because there are certain players in the team really not been in the game today.
There's Ian Jess for Aberdeen, linking with Mason. Back it goes to Bett. That's intended for Connor, but hit with too much power.
I was thinking about Trevor Stephen out here on the right-hand side, you know. I mean, Trevor now is just playing in a role on the halfway line, and he's not getting forward at all, John. I mean, I used to watch this young lad where he could get onto the byline, get crosses in. He's not doing anything like that at all now.
McCoist battling hard again in the air with McLeish. There's Willie Miller. Forward goes Robertson. Well, no real prospect of Jess reaching that with Butcher coming in behind him. Good play by Johnston. Certainly not found wanting as far as effort's concerned. Here's a chance for Stephen to take on Robertson. Well, they seem to lack some confidence there, Ian.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you now. I mean, that's about as far forward as he's got in this particular match with the ball. Now, Trevor Stephen, when he was really in his prime and playing well there, would have gone straight and attacked the fullback, got inside the box and cut one back.
So here's Stephen again for Rangers, in the middle of the field this time. That's sent across for McCoist. Walters has space coming from a deep position. Linking to Stephen. McKimmie's quickly across. Now Bett. Looking for Nicholas. He's challenged quickly by Gough. Butcher. still going for the high ball forward. Here's Paul Mason. Now Nicholas looking for the run made by Bett. And Munro did well for Rangers, but there is more variety about the Aberdeen attacking moves.
Well, more ideas, you know. The Rangers again, Terry Butcher gets it, knocks it 50 yards, you know, which is easiest pie for the defenders down there, for the Aberdeen defenders. So, as I say, Rangers have got to get a bit more variety in their attacks.
Colin has done a good job so far for Aberdeen, a vital role in the only goal of the match so far, and now helping in defence. Wilkins across to Stevens. Johnston has come wide on the right. Good dummy by Gough. He's gone forward to link with the attack. Wilkins has to go back. Complaining to Trevor Stevens, and the right wing was vacated there. He was looking to play a pass into that area, and there was no one around. Stevens has gone for a wonder across field for the moment. Good header again by Johnston. Here's Gary Stevens. Back it goes to Wilkins. Now Trevor Stevens again. Gary Stevens. Trevor Stevens, there's Wilkins. Willie Miller at full stretch. Helped on its way by Mason, and here's Bett stepping away from Ian Ferguson. So confident and composed. Now Mason. He was well tackled by Butcher. Bett sends it long, but that's not the kind of service Charlie Nicholas relishes.
Charlie had a look at that one and decided not to go for it. Actually, it would have been a good ball for, say, Mason or Jess, but not for Charlie.
Nicholas preferring passes to his feet. And this time the foul is against McCoist, using an elbow in the challenge with McLeish. Well, they're having a rare old tussle, these two international teammates, McCoist and McLeish. So McLeish himself will take this free kick. Came off the head of Stephen. Ian McCall and John Brown, the Rangers subs, running past Connor there to warm up. Johnston into the path of Ian Ferguson. That's a good ball to McCoist. Now Walters. Ferguson has continued the run. McCoist also is up. And Grant has done a good job so far on Walters, slowing down his progress. Well, now back to Wilkins, and Aberdeen now everyone back to face the ball. Walters with the cross. McCoist backing into Willie Miller. The referee has given a penalty kick. Well, that is quite remarkable. Quite remarkable. Let's see this again. The ball chipped in. Now watch McCoist backing in all the way to Willie Miller. Miller trying to play the ball, being pushed back all the time. Down goes McCoist, and the referee sees that as a penalty kick.
Well, if the referee sees it as a penalty, certainly I don't. I mean, you're right enough about backing in. He is backing into Willie Miller. But watch him there, he'll just fall down. I mean, Miller's feet don't get anywhere near McCoist's feet, and he just fell down. That was a very, very innocuous thing there. I mean, why do referees give penalty kicks for that?
Well, not only is he giving a penalty kick, he's also going to take action here. One of the Aberdeen players has gone too far in his protest. It looks like Alec McLeish. Clearly irate about that. Look at the look of frustration on his face. Well, I really have to express some sympathy there for Aberdeen. It looked to me as though the referee was deceived totally by McCoist in the box. There's Ali McCoist. The penalty kick for Rangers. Mark Walters has a 100% record this season from the spot. He's scored 2 out of 2. So he's entrusted with the task of bringing Rangers back to level terms. The referee insisting that all players stay out of the box. Here goes Walters against Snelders. Rangers are back on level terms. 35 minutes gone. A beautifully taken penalty kick by Mark Walters, sending Snelders the wrong way, leaving him helpless. Well, penalties can scarcely be taken better than that. And Rangers are right back now on level terms. Mark Walters, the scorer. It's his 5th goal of the season. His 3rd from the penalty spot out of 3. And you can be sure Aberdeen will be harbouring a massive grievance about that. Rangers fans coming to life. There is the scoreline. About 9 minutes remaining in the first half. Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1, as the Rangers fans now have had some reason to cheer. Here's Nicholas, running straight into Ferguson. Walters with a long ball forward, off goes McCoist. Holds it up. Still needs support inside. There's Johnston calling for the ball. Off the post, back to Stevens, and Willie Miller hooks the ball to safety. So a corner kick on the far side, and Aberdeen suddenly looking ragged at the back. There was McCoist twisting and turning. Johnston called for the ball, a fine effort off the junction of the post and the crossbar. Stevens then had a great chance. He couldn't find the net either. Trevor Stephen with the in-swinger. Off at the near post. Turned away there by Brian Grant. It'll be another corner kick to Rangers. Now some problems behind the goal there. Fans being released there. There's a fence around the stadium, but gates there to allow fans to be released. And there's one fan who won't see much more of the match. Corner kick taken by Trevor Stephen, and that's behind for the goal kick. Well, totally relentless action once again in the Skol Cup final, and Aberdeen will have to regroup themselves. They've clearly been rattled by that penalty award.
Well, I'm sure that, I mean, they were mentally stunned by that, and Rangers almost caught them on the hop, and it was a great move, a great combined move by McCoist and Johnston. They almost got another one. But the Aberdeen boys have got to, get their act together again, concentrate on the match, and don't lose another goal, certainly not before half-time, that's for sure.
Walters plays it back. Here's Wilkins. Stuart Munro. Stephen to Wilkins. Walters playing the first-time cross. McLeish with an accurate clearance, picking up Mason on the right. Rangers picking up all the loose balls at the moment. Here's Munro. Running straight into Grant. Picked up by Nicholas. In the middle of the field is Bett. Very quick with the ball at his feet, Jim Bett. Look at this. Here's Jess. Stepping away from Ferguson. Over on the far side is Mason. Taking on Munro, linking with Nicholas. Good play from Aberdeen. Down goes Mason. And the referee's given a goal kick this time. And Aberdeen, of course, now looking for a penalty kick when any of their players go down in the box. Here was Paul Mason playing it inside to Nicholas. Now Mason didn't quite control the ball correctly, and he did certainly seem to be hustled there by Stuart Munro, and that certainly might have been as good an award as the last one.
Well, if you're going to give a penalty for Rangers, you've got to give one for Aberdeen for that.
So there's Robertson lofting it forward. Mason gives chase. Well, an ungainly clearance there by Stuart Munro. So 5 minutes remaining in a hectic first half. The score still level at 1 goal apiece. There's Jess. He was held there. The jersey was held by Gough. Free kick to Aberdeen. They've already shown how dangerous they are from these set pieces around the box. Another opportunity presents itself now, and Willie Miller is there to take advantage with Alec McLeish. McLeish marked by Butcher. Right to the far post it goes, and Gough helps it on. Here's David Robertson. Well, they appear to be caught in two minds there, whether to let that ball run and accept a throw or keep it in play. In the end, he gave possession to Rangers. Bit of pushing there, and a free kick to Rangers. Richard Gough with the free kick. Well won by Robertson. McLeish playing into space. The first player there is McKimmie, despite being fouled there all the way by Walters. There'll be trouble here for Walters. Well, McKimmie looked to be more alert. He was sharper to the ball. And then Walters tried to equalise things with this foul, using his right arm principally to give that free kick. And a booking it will be for Mark Walters. A long lecture there, and Mark Walters still has plenty to say, perhaps suggesting it's his first foul of the match, but nevertheless he's booked. So McLeish now with this free kick. That goes Robertson. Gough heading clear. Ryan Grant is there. Controlled there by Jess. He's on the turn. Rangers defenders appealing for handball. But Jess certainly doesn't look out of place in this company, that's for sure. Controlling the ball there, turning, looking for the shooting chance, keeping it low and just wide of the post. Looking for space, showing good awareness there. He knew where the goal was, just missed the target. A free kick against Alec McLeish for the challenge on Johnston. Gough for the free kick. McLeish winning it in commanding fashion. Back with Gary Stevens. The face of the crossbar. What an incredible shot that was from Stevens. Rangers still pressing forward toward the half-time whistle, looking for the lead. Willie Miller's header. There's McKimmie. Mason inside for Grant. Grant still holding possession up for Mason. Down goes Mason. The culprit was Walters. Booked a moment ago and guilty of a rash tackle there, but how close Rangers came with that incredible effort from Gary Stevens. Look at this. The speed beat Snelders. It came right off the face of the crossbar and came right out to the 18-yard line. Well, Richard Gough is injured. And back with the free kick to Aberdeen for the foul committed by Mark Walters. Richard Gough getting treatment. And referee Smith scarcely has had to work harder than he has in the last 45 minutes. Still listening to complaints, I think, from Gough and Butcher.
Well, what a game it's turning out to be, Jock. I mean, already we've had a goal apiece. We've had Rangers hitting the bar twice. Mo Johnson and Gary Stevens. I mean, there was tremendous power in this shot. Look at that. He must be all of 30 yards. Dear me. But let's not forget, of course, that Aberdeen hit the woodwork as well at the other end. So, I mean, we've had plenty of goalmouth action.
Richard Gough with some damage right on the forehead there, where he will do most of his heading. So that could be a problem. Might need some protection at half-time. So Phil Boersma, the Rangers trainer, still on the field. And he is now being spoken to also by referee Smith. He's being invited to leave with some alacrity. So we're now into time added on for stoppages at the end of this incredible first half. There's Alec McLeish with a free kick. Now Connor. Robertson had gone forward to use his ability in the air. That's gone straight through to Woods. Well, we really wondered if the last two finals could be emulated this afternoon, but it looks very much as though we're seeing a third in succession of similar interest, entertainment and quality. There's David Robertson. Headed by Miller. There's Ferguson looking for Walters. A stumble there as he went for the ball with McKimmie. Here's Paul Mason. Butcher intercepts easily. That pass intended for Nicholas. In goes Willie Miller. But the half-time whistle has gone before that challenge was made. Rangers and Aberdeen tied at one apiece, and we'll be right back after this break.
OK, with the teams coming out onto the park now, it's time to rejoin match commentator Jock Brown.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, the Aberdeen team out first, and the Rangers players now arriving, looking closely around the sets of players. You see the damage done in the first half to Richard Gough has been patched up at half-time. They clearly had to protect that forehead injury, and that certainly has now been cushioned. He's concerned perhaps now about the sun, which is now coming over the covered terracing behind the goal, and that may cause some problems for defenders and goalkeepers alike. No changes though in either lineup. The Aberdeen side have in reserve Willem van der Ark and Brian Irvine, and Rangers have Ian McCall and John Brown. And there's one of the most controversial figures of the first half, the referee George Smith, coming out to start the second half. They administered 3 bookings to Robert Connor and Alec McLeish of Aberdeen, and to Mark Walters of Rangers in the first half, so they'll have to be careful. So check of the watch, and the match is back underway. So McCoist going forward for Rangers. Here's Trevor Stephen and Wilkins. Stevens looking for McCoist. In goes David Robertson, and here's some space for Aberdeen to exploit with Ian Jess trying to pass toward Charlie Nicholas, and the referee has given a free kick for obstruction on Nicholas. Gary Stevens shielding his eyes against the sun. Very awkward sun for the moment for the defenders. In fact, it's not in the goalmouth area quite so much, so the goalkeepers may escape the worst of it. Chris Woods in particular. Here's Brian Grant and McKimmie. McLeish helps it on. Stuart Munro being left to his own devices by Chris Woods. Would have told him to play the ball to safety, so a throw it is to Aberdeen. Mason turning away from Munro, but guilty of a push to win that advantage, so a free kick is given to Rangers right on the goal line. Johnston worked tirelessly throughout that first half, and no doubt do exactly the same again in the second period. Came very close to a goal, hitting the junction of the bar and the post in the first half. Johnston to Walters. Good tackle that by McKimmie. There's Munro. High ball beats McLeish, and McCoist tried to set it up for Walters. Nicholas trying to hold off Butcher. He's won the ball from Ferguson, and every ways play on. Rangers look for a free kick. Here's Connor. David Robertson sprints past him. Connor comes inside using Grant. Accurate ball finds Mason. Coming in from the right is Jim Bett. This is great play from Aberdeen. And fine goalkeeping by Woods. He kept the ball in play, preventing a corner kick. Disappointing finish to that splendid move there from Jim Bett.
It was a tremendous move, marvellous play, a lovely ball by Mason. Actually, I thought Jim Bett had to knock the ball square there rather than have a go himself.
Perhaps regrets the first touch. It wasn't quite what he intended, I don't think. Bett's header. Connor fighting hard. There's Nicholas releasing Mason. Woods again changing his mind. There's Mason. Couldn't pull the ball back across the face of the goal. Jess hoping for an accurate cross. But again, the left flank of the Rangers defence opened up for Paul Mason.
Well, he really did well, Paul Mason, getting there, and I mean, he was racing at pace, so it was a very difficult ball to turn back, but he tried to do it. As you can see, it was almost getting to the byline, tried to turn it back and just over the crossbar, but you know, always a threat in the match now, Paul Mason. His confidence must be high, of course, since that goal.
There's Jess screening it and turning well. Well tackled though by Stevens. There's Butcher. McCoist moved well to find space. Now Walters. Rangers pushing players forward now to support this attack. Walters taking on McKimmie. Here's Trevor Stephen. Too much pace on the ball. Across the face of the goal. Stephen couldn't keep it in. McKimmie inviting Walters to go on the outside. He checked inside, then angled that across, and just too far ahead of Trevor Stephen. Breaks for Grant. Jess stands on the ball, but it's picked up there by Brian Grant. Here's Nicholas helping it on to Mason, and that'll come off. Munro for the corner. So Aberdeen certainly starting the second half in impressive fashion. Jim Bett, a key figure in the middle of their build-up. McLeish now comes forward. Once again, every Rangers player inside his own box. Connor looping it in. Up goes David Robertson. It's back towards Grant, and the ball took too long to come down to the right height to strike it. Grant snatching at that and sending it well over the bar. So the wind has been swirling in gusts around the stadium. Now it's behind Aberdeen for the moment. Certainly helps their shooting chances around the box. McLeish playing it forward, then goes Butcher. Ferguson to Wilkins. Well, that was intended, I think, for Mark Walters. Neat play again from Mason. And from Jess. Well tackled by Butcher. Here's Jim Bett, the great chance for the cross. Trying to be accurate. There goes Connor. Back it goes to McKimmie. Back with Mason. Well, he'll regret that, all right. He took that with his left foot. It was an awkwardly spinning ball, which he fails to control here. It was Jess striding into the box. Well tackled by Butcher. A lot of space now for Jim Bett. So he plays this across. Connor attacks the ball well. It's back to McKimmie. His shot is stopped there. It breaks for Paul Mason. And the shot well covered by Woods.
Yeah, I'm afraid he wasn't able to get enough pace on the ball, Mason, there, because it was on his left foot. I don't know if that's his good one. Just had a swing at it and it bobbled 2 or 3 times. But again, the goalkeeper had to be quick to get across.
Good header that by Munro. Back to his goalkeeper. Jim Bett is coming in behind him. There's been some reorganisation in the Aberdeen ranks. They're using Bett on the right now. Mason has joined Grant in the middle of their midfield. Well, that's only been a temporary measure though, because Jim Bett has now had a chat with Paul Mason and they've switched back to their starting positions. Munro with the pass back again.
Aberdeen at times are trying to play that ball over the top of Terry Butcher. I think they feel that maybe if they got him turning, you know, it's a bit of a weakness for him, but up to now the big fella's handled it well.
McCoist header on. Here's Johnston. Stephen playing it in. Willie Miller had to be quick. Here's Gary Stevens. Well, one there by McKimmie. Is back with Walters. It's all ricocheting between bodies inside the penalty area. Some faint appeals from the Rangers fans for a penalty. But Aberdeen survive. And down goes McKimmie, caught late by Wilkins. Wilkins indicating that McKimmie made a lot of that. The referee will have a word with him. Well, Wilkins certainly appeared to catch McKimmie all right, but McKimmie now, I think, is being spoken to for being a little bit over-dramatic in the fall. Here's Bett. Wins the throw. Very few players in the country any better at running with the ball at their feet at pace than Jim Bett.
He's the most influential of the midfield players, I think, this afternoon, Jim Bett. You know, having a big impact in this match.
Mason stopped by Munro. So it remains tied up this match at 1 goal apiece. Remember, there has to be a winner this afternoon. Extra time and penalties if required. There's the corner kick to Aberdeen. The Aberdeen fans offering lots of encouragement now. Aberdeen playing towards their fans on the East Terracing. McLeish looking for his 2nd goal of the season. He scored against Celtic in a league match at Pittodrie. Looking for an old firm double now. Here's Gough going up with that head bandage. David Robertson trying to get the ball across. It had gone over. The goal kick's been given. McLeish with a header. There's Stevens. David Robertson have to play this. Johnston ensuring that. Stevens with a header to Walters. He's crossed over to the right and he's carried the ball over for a throw. 10 minutes into the second half now. Rangers 1, Aberdeen 1. Aberdeen taking the lead in 22 minutes through Paul Mason, and Rangers equalising in 35 minutes from the penalty spot. Mark Walters. There's Charlie Nicholas, opening play out. Here's Mason, McKimmie sprinting through. Here to be impeded there, down he goes in the clash with Ferguson, looking hopefully towards the referee, and Willie Miller and Alec McLeish now going towards the referee also, clearly trying to express the view that that was as good an award as was given against them in the first half.
I thought the infringement there, Jock, was in the first place outside the box when Munro sort of just balked his run there. I don't think it was a foul the second time.
This is Connor. He's been allowed to turn. That's a bad ball. Here's trouble for Aberdeen as Walters breaks. Johnston on the right, McCoist in the middle. Johnston looking up, trying to measure the cross. McCoist was there. The ball was half blocked there by David Robertson coming across, I reckon. The sting came out of it. Here was Johnston lining up the cross. David Robertson was there. It appeared to come off his arm indeed. And there was McCoist with the header without any real power. There's Walters and Gough. Gough has earned some space for himself. Not too pleased with that pass. There's Connor. Back it goes to midfield to Ian Ferguson. This is Gary Stevens. Robertson steps in. Oh, that's fine play again from Ian Jess. Such a promising player. Great play. Over across to McKimmie. He has Mason on his right, Nicholas through the middle, and Bett square. Here's Mason. Good effort. Back with Grant, and that was off Richard Gough, and spinning away for the corner kick, and that move was entirely inspired by Ian Jess. And here was Bett taking the pass inside from McKimmie. Mason took over coming inside. That shot was blocked, so was Grant's. But it's a corner to Aberdeen. Taken away by Johnston. This is Grant. Now Miller. Into Nicholas. A great chance for Charlie Nicholas. His first real glimpse of goal in the match. Well, that was the effort of a striker, perhaps short in confidence. A great ball played by Willie Miller and good goalkeeping by Woods. Connor again with the corner. Goes McLeish and Miller. Willie Miller, who made contact, couldn't get it on target. Lots of determination through these Aberdeen ranks. Just wide of the target from Willie Miller. Attacks the ball with complete determination.
Well, Chris Wood's definitely the hero for the moment. I thought that was a great save from Charlie Nicholas. Too often you see goalkeepers being beaten with the ball through their legs like that, but he kept his legs close together, came out and blocked it lovely.
There's Mason. Pressing it wide towards Connor. Have to lunge into that tackle on Gary Stevens, so a throw it is to Rangers. Once again, Aberdeen have made that midfield switch with Mason in the middle and Bett on the right, hoping, I think, to use the running power of Jim Bett on the flank. Here's Nicholas. Connor towards Jess. Stevens steps in. There's McLeish letting it back for Willie Miller. Remaining very calm as McCoist pressurised him. That's a bad ball by McKimmie. Miller did well enough to force it forward. Wilkins into space for Ferguson. Over on the far side is Wilkins. Here's Johnston, down it goes to Stephen. And a great save from Snelders. Brilliant build-up play from Rangers, and Theo Snelders brings off perhaps the best save of the match so far. Walters put it across, Johnston cushions it down for Stephen, and a great diving save from Snelders. There's Terry Butcher, and the header saved well by Snelders. Scarcely a moment to breathe here at Hampden. The corner kick coming over. Butcher coming in, climbing well, nodding it down, and Snelders once again to Aberdeen's rescue. 1 hour gone in the Skull Cup final. Still all square at 1 goal each. Here goes Bett, testing the pace of Butcher. And Butcher did well, forcing Bett to hurry the cross. That does appear to be the ploy, though. You need to use Bett's pace on the right.
Well, that would appear to be, and as I say, he's having a big impact in the game, Jim Bett.
Controlled by Walters for Wilkins, and now it's Munro. Interception made by Mason. Here's Bett. Holding off Munro. Miller has Robertson breaking on the left. Good play from Robertson. Now Jess takes over. Looking for Paul Mason. Back to McKimmie. Trying to find Nicholas in the box. There's Butcher. Bett switching it again. Good play by Mason. Great play by Paul Mason. And a terrific recovery challenge made inside the penalty area by Stuart Munro. Colin getting back for Aberdeen. Munro still on the ground inside his own penalty area. It was a magnificent piece of defending by Munro. This was great play by Aberdeen. Bett lofting it to Mason. Look at the control here, going inside Stephen. Trying a left foot shot, and it was Munro at full stretch who blocked it, then took a boot around the ear.
Well, Paul Mason has certainly looked apart this afternoon on the big stage here at Hampden Park, his first big final, and he's having an outstanding match.
Appeared to catch Stuart Munro accidentally there with his boot after the block had been made by the fullback. And Stuart Munro certainly covered 10 yards very quickly indeed. We see this again, the way Mason went inside Stephen, across came Munro, and there was the impact after the tackle was made. That was a timely tackle, because I think that ball was going to bend round the right-hand side of Woods there. So no luck for Paul Mason, and Stuart Munro is back on his feet. Jess taking on Stevens, but not making much of that. by Robertson. There's Gough. McCoist playing it wide for Johnston. Here's Stevens. Wilkins. Good running by Stevens, and that was well read by David Robertson. Coming in to intercept and play the ball out for the throw. So Gary Stevens looking for a long throw here. Gary Butcher is in the box. Back it goes to Stephen. Was blocked by Bett. Well, appeals again for handball, but clearly that played the man if it did strike it on. And this time it's Charlie Nicholas who's penalised for making a back for Richard Gough. He didn't attempt to play the ball. And if you take it from that Nicholas is not too pleased with the referee's decision. There's Munro. Using Gough at the back. Great layoff from Johnston. Here's Trevor Stephen. McCoist breaking on the left. Setting up the chance for the shot. It came off McLeish. It'll be a corner kick to Rangers. Ball and build-up of noise from behind Snelders' goal, where the Rangers fans are congregated. Starts again. There goes Gough. Right to that near post. Butcher hanging back on the 18-yard line. Trevor Stephen taking all these corner kicks. Here's Butcher looking for space. David Robertson's his marker. Up goes Miller. Shot from Ian Ferguson. That was well cut off by McKimmie, getting the ball ahead of Walters. And Wilkins for the cross for the tackle. Now 33 years old, but playing with the enthusiasm of a teenager. Here goes Nicholas, looking for Bett on the right. Mason. Here's Nicholas. And it's picked up by Johnston. Error from Nicholas. McCoist comes back. This is Munro. And Butcher. Gough to Stevens. Well, the match is not one. As you just switched on, you're wondering if Rangers are in the lead. They're not. It's one each. And the Sol Cup final still hanging in the balance. With extra time, a distinct possibility, and you won't miss any of that. And the free kick goes to Aberdeen. Walters was booked in the first half for a foul on McKimmie. They're operating on the Rangers' right for the moment. David Robertson's waiting for Alec McLeish to find his way into the box. There goes McLeish. Ian Ferguson's header. McKimmie quickly to the ball. Willie Miller's at the back, pressurised by Wilkins. Well, that's good play from Bett and from Stuart Munro. Kept his eye on the ball. Having a good match, the left back. Corner going up with Walters. There's Gough. Walters appeared to use an arm there, but the referee said nothing wrong. Played forward there by Wilkins. He's earned a throw. The challenge is made by Robertson and McCoist. There is some sign of activity on the Rangers bench below us. It looks as though we'll see Ian McCall before long. There's a throw to Rangers to be taken by Gary Stevens. Terry Butcher indicates to him to wait until he arrives at the edge of the box. McLeish and Butcher together. McLeish wins it. There's Stephen. Up goes McCoist. Snelders in good position for that. Well, a menace in the long throw, clear again. McLeish under pressure with the header. There was McCoist nodding it on, but Snelders was there. There's Butcher. Ball hanging in the wind for Johnston, the layoff from McCoist. Off the ball, Johnston and McKimmie have clashed. Johnston's on the ground. This move will continue without Morris Johnston. And the referee and linesman agree that that should be a goal kick. The referee now looking towards Johnston, who's on the ground. Well, there appeared to be a collision there with McKimmie. There appeared to be nothing more sinister than that, and certainly no offence taken by Johnston. And there's the change being made by Rangers. The player coming off is the Rangers goal scorer from the penalty spot, Mark Walters. He goes off to be replaced by former Dunfermline Athletic player Ian McCall, on familiar territory here at Hampden Park. He played for Queen's Park before going to Dunfermline. He's the player who turned the match against Dundee United in the league last week. Earned him a place in the 13 for this afternoon's match. McLeish with a high ball, looking for Connor. It's won well by Stevens. There's McCall, well tackled by Robertson. This is Nicholas. He looks up, a run is made there by Bett, like he's making space for Mason. Delicate little chip, one there by Ferguson inside the box to give Aberdeen the corner kick. 20 minutes of the match remaining, still tied at 1 goal apiece. Bloodstained there, that bandage on Richard Gough. Well headed away by Gough again under pressure. There goes McCoist. Down he goes, the collision with Bett. Free kick's been given. And Bett not looking too impressed. Jim Bett won a winner's medal in 1981 playing for Rangers. Now trying to do the same in Aberdeen colours after disappointments he's had. He wasn't in the side which won in 1985. He was out through injury. There's McKimmie. Butcher's clearance. McKimmie again. Looking for Nicholas. Stevens comes to meet the ball. So did David Robertson for Aberdeen. Stevens for Rangers. Ferguson has found space in midfield. Well, that was a hopeful ball towards McCall. David Robertson had that covered. Giving it straight back to Wilkins. Here's Johnston, now Stephen. Johnston available on the left, McCoist on the right. There's Johnston. It's a great ball across, and there's Willie Miller. Well, he's been doing that for so many years, Willie Miller. He's a winner's medal for Aberdeen in 1976. He's been around a long time. He did well here on this cross from Johnston, nodding it behind for the corner. Miller with 2 winners' medals, 1976 and 1985. There's Stephen. Up goes Butcher. Johnston tried to turn that on target. Rangers keep the pressure on. It's a throw on the near side. Butcher will stay up.
You feel that Rangers can score from one of these long balls into the box. That appears to me to really be the only danger.
Here's McCall. Clever Stephen making for the byline and winning the corner off Alec McLeish.
I think Terry Butcher's presence up there, along with Richard Gough, is a bit unsettling, and I think they're just getting the better of the aerial stuff in the penalty areas.
Clever Stephen on the corner. Up goes Butcher again. Ryan Grant had to play that. Stephen would have kept it in play. Back with Wilkins. Aberdeen now pushing out of the box. Great pass that from McLeish. First time to Jess. Going inside Stevens and crowded out now. Ferguson and Butcher both back. Not quite enough support there for Ian Jess when he got that pass from McLeish. The offside flag is up. McCoist out on his own up front. They're carrying the damage inflicted against Dundee United 8 days ago. So Willie Miller with a free kick. Instructions coming from the Aberdeen dugout. That's well won by Munro. There's Stephen operating on the left with McCall on the right. The tackle was made by Bett. He looks hopefully for the throw and doesn't get it. Stephen trying to hold off Mason, now using Gough at the back. Across it goes to Stevens. He has lots of space to work in. Here's Ian Ferguson. Now McCall. Johnston with the layoff. Here's Stephen. Back it goes to McCall. And Connor tidying up for Aberdeen. That pass finds Ray Wilkins. Here's McCall, a chance to attack Robertson. Good goalkeeping again. Signs now that Rangers are taking a grip on the match. Aberdeen win the free kick there as McCoist barges into McKimmie. There was a shot well saved by Snelders. An indirect free kick indicated by the raised left arm of referee George Smith. Robertson wins that. Butcher goes across the bows of Jess and has a word then with Chris Woods. Woods again came a few yards out but didn't come all the way. David Robertson, another long throw expert. Towards McLeish it goes. Up goes Gough. Quarter of an hour remaining. Still one each. This is Bett. Trying to find room for a cross. He'll accept the corner kick, I reckon, if he can get it. Paul Mason had to make that tackle. It's Rangers who have the throw. Johnston's back keeler picked up by Grant. This is Bett. Inside is Grant. Well hustled there by Wilkins. Very good, not at all pleased with himself. Clearance going straight out for the throw. There's Nicholas trying the turn. Couldn't get away from Butcher. And here's McLeish. Looking for Connor over there on the far side, going up with Stevens. There's Nicholas. He's away from Gough. Down he goes, and a free kick to Aberdeen. Yeah, Nicholas still anxiously looking for that first goal of the season, and what a day it would be to do it. Could be the winner. Perhaps too far out for a direct shot, although the breeze is helping Aberdeen. Well, they've shown a lot of invention from set pieces in recent times. And I fancy this will be no exception. The referee waving the wall back while Aberdeen discuss the free kick. Nicholas, Bett and Connor involved again. Nicholas with the attempt at the chip. It came off the wall for a corner kick. Well, we're at the stage in the match when it will be very difficult for either side to come back from losing one now. Tense moments these. There's Jim Bett. Well, he'll be very disappointed with that. A wasted opportunity for Aberdeen. Trying to swirl that in under the crossbar. McLeish with a foul by McCoist. There's now some activity on the Aberdeen bench. They're going to make a change, I think. Here's Willem van der Ark, but here's Nicholas. Turning in the box. This is when he's at his best. Laying it back for David Robertson on the run. Another opportunity goes a-begging for Aberdeen, and the change which Aberdeen are going to make is to withdraw Brian Grant from midfield and introduce Willem van der Ark to the attack. So there goes Brian Grant, and this will involve some reorganisation of the Aberdeen ranks. Van der Ark has a word with Paul Mason, who I think will be dropping deeper into a right midfield. Ian Jess is going across to the right side of the attack with Van der Ark on the left. So Aberdeen going 3 up front now in an attempt to win this match. Van der Ark involved straight away. There's Van der Ark again. Mason pops up inside him. Jess in his new role on the right side of the attack. Testing Stuart Munro. Good play by Jess. There's McKimmie. Nicholas teeing it up for Jim Bett. Beautifully constructed move once again from Aberdeen. Bett was on the end of it, but it was Ian Jess who set it all up in the first place. McKimmie with the cross, which Ian Ferguson just can't quite reach. Nicholas then laid it into the path of Jim Bett, and the shot was well saved by Woods. McCall and Stevens for Rangers, 10 minutes remaining, still 1 each. And McKimmie with a calm header down to Snelders. And Butcher with that lusty clearance sends the ball out of play again. Aberdeen play the ball along the back four. McLeish has it now. Here's David Robertson. Van der Ark going through the middle now, offering himself at a target for the high ball, and that's well taken by Woods.
Well, Van der Ark looks to me, I mean, I haven't seen the boy play before, but he looks about 6 feet 3 or 4. I don't know how tall he is, Jock, but I would think he's got to be an asset now for any corner kicks and free kicks.
Rangers coming again with McCall. Good running there made by McCoist. Willie Miller goes with him. Great defending by Miller. And the referee's given a foul, I think, against McCoist.
Well, there you are. He's given a foul against McCoist for backing into Miller. You know, so if you like, the penalty kick in the first half was just similar, wasn't it? Well, let's have a look at it here. Willie Miller made a good block there. The ball ran away towards the corner flag. McCoist is leading, and you'll see here when they get to the ball, he sort of waits for Willie Miller to come and just leans into him. And Miller, in fact, to me then, Miller, you know, looked as if he was pushing McCoist in the back.
Yes, the ball looked in playing distance that time, which obviously makes a difference to the referee's view. Back it goes from McKimmie to Snelders. Willem van der Ark, who is in fact 6 feet 5 inches tall, is in the attack, and Aberdeen are hoping to capitalise on that, although most of his goals for Aberdeen have come on the ground, funnily enough. Here comes Trevor Stephen. Taking away from Bett. Now Wilkins. He had a quieter second half after being so influential in the first. That's a good pass though, finding McCall. Ball checking onto that left foot. It's too high for Stephen. McKimmie closes him down. Stephen gets the cross in. There it was, Johnston under great pressure from McLeish, and still he got his head to the ball. Tremendous effort that from Maurice Johnston. And McKimmie might not be too pleased with the ease with which Stephen got that cross in. But there was Johnston under pressure from McLeish. The header loops over the bar.
I must say I've been impressed with Maurice Johnston today, not just with his heading ability, because he was a lovely little header of the ball, but his general play has been first class. He's never given the ball away the whole afternoon.
Here's Wilkins. Trevor Stephen. Rangers looking as though they don't fancy any overtime this afternoon. They'd rather have the match settled within the 90 minutes. And there's McKimmie, that's an awkward one. Well, a smile on the face of Stuart McKimmie. He had complete faith in his goalkeeper. Certainly seldom misplaced that faith. A very awkward ball. There's Butcher, now McKimmie. The ball played forward, but Nicholas is onside. He has Van der Aert waiting in the middle. Here's Nicholas. And Gough came across swiftly to block the cross. That undoubtedly was an opportunity though for Aberdeen, which they failed to exploit. Although they do have the corner kick. Blood seeping below the bandage there in the face of Richard Gough. McLeish in the box. Corner's corner. Up goes McLeish. It's come all the way across to David Robertson. Well, I reckon he was trying to earn a corner kick and he made it. He got a deflection there from Ian Ferguson. So a corner kick on the far side. It'll be taken by a shot this time by Bett to Jess. Jim Bett with a cross. There's McLeish. Now Willie Miller. Came off the face of Butcher. McKimmie on towards Miller. The ball's still in play. And then it went out. And the linesman flagging Willie Miller. Completely frustrated about that. Spinning the ball, kept it in initially. There was the ball played forward by McKimmie. Miller let that bounce, it was on the line, bouncing in with a spin. And then as he volleyed the ball forward, the linesman said it was over. So here's a bit of trouble here. McCoist and Miller clashing. The referee is going to have a word with McCoist. It looks like a booking. Willie Miller on the ground with a head knock. McLeish saying a bit too much. Remember, McLeish has been booked, so the referee really will be hard pushed to take less than the most severe action if he's got to do anything with McLeish, but it's McCoist who's in trouble. Well, a clash there with Willie Miller, and it was McCoist who was the culprit. Well, booking it is for Ali McCoist. Well, Willie Miller is back to his feet, looking rather unsteady. Well, let's see how that came about, that incident with McCoist and Miller. We'll see that perhaps in a second, but the free kick's going to be taken by McLeish. Let's stay with the action. A long ball towards Van der Aert. Connor barging into Trevor Stephen. The free kick's been given. Free kick to Rangers at the edge of their own box. Van der Aert is now being spoken to. Scarcely on the field and now requiring to be calmed down by referee Smith. There's David Robertson. Headed away by Butcher, helped in its way by Stevens. There's Connor under pressure from Wilkins and Ferguson. Bett sorted out in the middle of the field. What a superb match he's had for Aberdeen. Now Nicholas easing the ball away towards Van der Aert. Back down with David Robertson. Aberdeen have players in the box. Chris Wood's coming to claim it, and a very good, confident catch. McCall free on the left for Rangers. That's for McCoist. Well, a bad break there for McLeish, but he retrieved it well enough. McCoist making a splendid run, but McLeish really is a first-class centre-half. Powerful header by Butcher, coming straight to David Robertson. So there goes the challenge from Miller. Butcher wins it. Good play by Butcher. He's tackled well by Mason. Ball is out of play and a throw in the far side to Rangers. Gary Stevens now with a throw. Chested down by McCoist to Stephen. There goes Johnston. It's great play by Johnston. Fine control. Now McCoist. Corner is there. There's David Robertson under pressure from McCoist. Up goes Bett. And a foot up against Ian Ferguson. Well, that's how Aberdeen got their opening goal. A free kick against Ian Ferguson for lifting his boot too high, which resulted in Paul Mason's opener in 22 minutes. Equalised by Mark Walters. Penalty in 35. An extra time looming now, looking more and more likely with each passing second. Just over a minute remaining now in the 90 minutes. Back it goes from Stevens now. Both sets of players, I think, very anxious about making an error in these closing seconds. Corner judging that well again. Van der Ark chasing Stevens. Put on by Stephen. There's Willie Miller. Gough going up, easing the header towards Stevens. One for McCoist to chase. And McCoist making a dramatic dive there. Willie Miller telling the referee that, but he already made up his mind. So a throw it is to Rangers rather than the free kick McCoist was playing for. There's Stephen going away from Connor, running into Bett, or Mason rather, who made a fine tackle. The referee's given the free kick, and this may be the last opportunity in the 90 minutes for the match to be won. A free kick to Rangers, 25 yards out. Build-up of noise from the Rangers fans, sensing the possibility of victory in the last few seconds. Now Ian Ferguson has an almighty finish in his right boot, and he may be the player to try to test Snelders. Well, we've seen Ferguson's power many times before. He's going to have another go. The wall will have to be brave. Wow, what a tremendous let-off for Aberdeen. Snelders couldn't hold it. The shot was so powerful, thundering through the gap there. Snelders with his body behind it, couldn't hold it, but he got help from Van der Ark. Well, that shows the power in the save. Van der Ark doing well in defence, and balls in the box again. Van der Ark defending. Ferguson forward, there's Johnston! And almost a winner in the most dramatic circumstances, right on the whistle. Van der Ark here heading clear, then attacking Ian Ferguson, who's brave enough to head it forward. There was Johnston with a hook shot, wide of the target.
Well, it's certainly bad for the nerves, this job. It doesn't matter what team you support here this afternoon, because this is the most exciting finishes. And Littlemore Johnson was, inches away there from what would have been a fantastic winner.
And there goes the final whistle during that little break between the end of 90 minutes and the start of extra time. And stamina sapping it certainly has been in the 90 minutes to date. It's one each, remember, and 30 minutes of extra time to come, 15 minutes each way. Referee George Smith checking with his linesman. It's Rangers who will restart the match, playing from left to right. There's Wilkins and McCall on the far side. Rangers still have John Brown available, and Aberdeen still have Brian Irvine, who could come on to freshen things up before the end. Here goes Mason and Nicholas, back with Bett. Here side is Robertson.
I like to see defenders jockeying it, go and continue the attack, you know, when they play a ball to follow it in, and that's exactly what Robertson did there. And in fact, ended up with a very good chance, and it was a bit of a miscue, the final shot, but a chance nonetheless.
Bett winning the high ball. Stevens going up with Nicholas. Good challenge there by Connor. The referee's given the foul against the Aberdeen player. Foot up, I think, would be the verdict. And once again, the decision goes against McCoist. That challenge with Miller, well, the crucial one which the referee gave Rangers' way was the one in the first half which gave than the penalty when Willie Miller had judged to have fouled McCoist, and it certainly looked to be a very strange award. And since then, McCoist has been penalised frequently by the referee. So the free kick against Willem van der Ark. Dangerous play. And it'll have to be taken again. Willem van der Ark certainly has made his presence felt since he came on late in the 90 minutes as a substitute, replacing Brian Grant. Butcher will take the free kick from the correct spot. Touched on by Stephen. Here's McCoist. Well won by McLeish. Kept his eye on the ball all the time. Back with Ray Wilkins. There's a shooting chance. Well, worth the effort that from Wilkins. Well, I think he's upset about that.
Yeah, normally scores from that distance, Ray, you know. He didn't have Crackett, but just a shade over.
Well, still savouring the one he scored against Celtic in an Old Firm match last season. Hasn't managed to break his duck this season so far. There's Stevens. McLeish underneath that. Robertson completes the clearance. Stevens careless there, allowing Jim Bett to collect. Bett going away from Butcher. He has Ian Jess on the right. Van der Ark waits in the middle with Nicholas. And the cross, a disappointing one. Perhaps looking a touch leg weary now, young Ian Jess.
Well, I think he's entitled to be. I mean, he's played flat out the whole of the 90 minutes. And I mean, looking at him there, he just looks like a schoolboy, doesn't he? But, he's had an excellent game. I mean, I'm sure his parents will be very proud of him after this one.
There's Connor with a header. Johnston working hard again. Coming back to link with his midfield. There's Wilkins. Now McCall. Really talented left foot. Cross goes Miller. Here's Mason. Van der Ark doing well. There's Nicholas. Turning Gough, using Bett. That's one for Jess to chase. Beaten to the ball by Munro. But these high balls forward now from Aberdeen have much more effect with Van der Ark there. Big little touches on towards Nicholas. Nicholas takes the throw short, trying to set up Mason. Goal kick to Rangers. Nicholas still looking for an opening in front of goal. He's had one good chance in the match so far, which he drove straight at Chris Woods, who closed down the angle well. Johnston getting up well again, but no one on the near side here. It's Robert Connor who takes over. Well, Bett had checked out of that forward run before the pass was released. David Robertson quickly to the scene of trouble there, but here's Wilkins, and with Robertson out of position, Johnston goes right into that gap. Stephen is there. There's Trevor Stephen with a great chance from McCall. Brilliant move from Rangers, the dummy from McCoist, set up Ian McCall, but it's Snelders who saves the day for Aberdeen. Well, one of the best chances of the match so far, passed up by Rangers, great move this. Johnston going into the gap, vacated by David Robertson, then using Trevor Stephen, the first time ball, a dummy from McCoist, a great chance for McCall, but Snelders was there. Lofting it forward. Stevens underneath it, the header goes straight to Connor. Looking up inside, looking for some movement. Still retains possession. Here's Jess trying to turn. And Rangers grouping round there to defend successfully. Here's Johnston again, favouring a right flank for Rangers, now striding inside. Tremendous stamina, well tackled by Miller. Paul Mason did well coming back. Well, not happy with his teammates. Put it on there by Jess. Throw to Rangers. Still very tight despite these weedy legs out there. David Robertson lofting it high towards Van der Ark. It's a good turn by the big fella. He took a rap in the shin from Ian Ferguson. Now Jess holding off McCall, fighting hard with Ian Ferguson now. Turned away by Ferguson. A sandwich on Jess results in a free kick to Aberdeen. He showed lots of courage as well as skill on that occasion, young Ian Jess. So Van der Ark here controlling it well, stepping inside. Ferguson taking one just above the ankle. High ball played in by Bett. Up goes McLeish. Van der Ark's there. There's Nicholas trying to turn. Van der Ark, and it's punched away by Woods. Fine goalkeeping there by Chris Woods. Charlie Nicholas can scarcely believe it. He thought he'd done enough there. Look at the way he finds room for himself here. To turn and stab the shot. Woods at full stretch and reacting quickly before Van der Ark could cash in. Put in again by Bett. The header away was by Munro. Corner going in. Half caught McCoist. The referee has given a throw to Aberdeen. Now, for my money, that was a foul on McCoist. Munro being spoken to for dissent. He complained bitterly about that decision. A lot of warning suffices. Well, I thought McCoist was fouled on that occasion.
I thought McCoist actually was fouled, but could have stayed in his feet, decided to do a bit of an act. And if he'd carried on running, he probably would have got the ball.
So it's back with Butcher to Woods. And McCoy certainly at the heart of all the controversy this afternoon. No question about that. Here's Trevor Stephen with Gary Stevens behind. McCoist going there with McLeish, and a bit of elbowing being done by McCoist. The linesman indicating that to the referee.
You know, McCoist has been booked already, and he could get booked for persistent fouling, Jock, because you made a point earlier that most of the fouls at the moment when Rangers attack seem to be around McCoist.
Butcher getting up well with Van der Ark. There's Mason. Now Jess. And the turn away from Munro, keeping his balance well. That's one of the features of this young man's plays. So well balanced in possession. The throw to Aberdeen. McCall was unhappy about that verdict. Mason shooting his strength on Ferguson. Still in the first period of extra time here at Hampden. It's still 1 each between Rangers and Aberdeen as McKimmie hits the byline. Jess challenging. There's Munro. Dumping it clear. Robertson controls it. Sending it back in. Jess holding off Munro to allow McKimmie to come forward. There goes Van der Ark. Well, Gough did very well indeed. He went bravely with Van der Ark. Took the sting out of that effort from Van der Ark, and now the referee is holding up play to allow attention to the Rangers central defender. Good play this. Jess making sure the ball could reach Stuart McKimmie, and McKimmie now sending over the cross for Van der Ark. Gough was challenging, that's why he got no power in the header, and now it's Terry Butcher who's being lectured for protesting bitterly to the referee that he didn't hold up play for treatment for Gough.
That's a referee quite rightly told the goalkeeper to kick the ball out of the park and we'll stop the game. Otherwise it would have to have been a bounce up. If he'd blown to stop the game, Jock, It would have been a bounce up in the 6-yard box. Now the Rangers players have wanted that.
The referee on that occasion clearly correct, allowed Woods to play the ball out for the throw. Gough, very determined player indeed, back on his feet. A head injury sustained early in the match.
Is that a Terry Butcher headband he's wearing? But he is a brave lad, because the wound is obviously seeping, and he's battling away. They're going for every high ball.
Ball taken by Robertson. There's Gary Stevens with another throw to Aberdeen, with a chance for Robertson to take advantage of the height of McLeish this time, perhaps. So just 2 minutes remaining in the first period of extra time as David Robertson launches the long throw into the box. Van der Ark got a touch. There's Nicholas. It's back to Mason. 2-1 to Aberdeen. Jockey Scott on the track. And the long throw did all the damage. David Robertson launching that ball, and Van der Ark gets a vital touch on. Nicholas tees it up there for Mason, and he drills home the goal, which puts Aberdeen ahead. Great head flick on, great play here from Nicholas. Mason hovering, drilling the ball past Woods, who had no chance at all. Just a couple of minutes remaining in the first period of extra time, and Rangers have to come from behind again if they're to save the match. Beautifully constructed goal, Ian.
Well, it was. Van der Ark obviously used his height, got the little flick, and Charlie, to be fair to him, held the Rangers players off, laid it back to Paul Mason, and young Paul obviously can't believe what's happened to him. 2 goals, going for a hat-trick.
And Mason with that good pass, which comes to nothing because there was a foul on Butcher. Free kick it is to Rangers. It's already taken. Here's Wilkins. Butcher stayed up with the attack. McCall. It's shown inside there by McKimmie. That's where Aberdeen wanted to come. David Robertson. Gough with a good header, picking out Gary Stevens. Lovely header, must be painful for Gough at the moment. Clever Stephen. Trying to find room for a cross. David Robertson trying to deny that. Stephen forces it back to Gary Stevens. Ian Ferguson to McCoist. Fine effort, well saved by Snelders. Well, this is good play again from Rangers. Gary Stevens takes the pass from Trevor Stephen, lights that ball in. Turned away by Ferguson to McCoist, the hook shot in the turn, and that's great positioning by Snelders.
Didn't quite get enough on it to get it across the face of the goal, otherwise it would have given them more problems. But a good save of the goalkeeper.
Great pair of hands there, Snelders. And his positioning was immaculate also. Here's Johnston, chesting it down for Stephen. This game by no means over. And David Robertson did enough there to deflect that into the path of Snelders. So dying seconds of the first period of extra time. The referee checking his watch. And there goes the whistle for half-time. Aberdeen have taken that vital lead. And Terry Butcher throwing the ball, hitting George Smith, the referee, in the head. An apology offered immediately. And the referee quite content that that was by no means deliberate. So the players changing round instantly. And the Aberdeen fans still delirious there behind the goal to our right. We've watched a performance full of courage and determination and packed with lots of skill. There's the goal scorer, Paul Mason. He's got 2 now, taking his tally for the season to 8. So Aberdeen now have a testing period of 15 minutes to survive. Do they fall back into defence, Ian, do you think?
Well, I hope not, because I don't think they should let Rangers get the ascendancy. I think if Rangers could get the ball in and around the Aberdeen penalty area, they're always looking dangerous.
Here's Ian Jess with Munro. Munro plays it out for the corner and looks very upset indeed, although I must say from here, the linesman looked to be perfectly correct. And Stuart Munro is going to be in a spot of trouble, I think. Now, he already was warned a few minutes ago for protesting. I was lucky, in my view, not to see a yellow card. The referee saw fit to speak to him at all. Now, Aberdeen looking for the goal, which would surely be the killer now. There's Connor with the corner. Charlie Nicholas with the header. No problems for Woods, and Johnston immediately makes himself available on the far side. Incredible amount of stamina, Johnston. Layoff from McCoist to Stevens. Here's McCoist again. Wants to take on Willie Miller. Still in possession. That's a good ball in. Up goes Ian McCall with McKimmie. McCall with Connor. That's a good tackle by Connor. Fine play. But also a crunching tackle by Stuart Munro on Jess. McKimmie's throw appeared to be a charge at the back of Nicholas by Butcher, but the referee said holding a miss, and now Stevens should win the race all right with Van der Ark. The big Dutchman making life difficult for Stevens. Connor forcing it forward. Gary Stevens. Back it goes to Butcher. A long ball thumped forward, won well by McLeish. Not content to win it, he wanted to find McKimmie also. 2-2 was trying to play football when perhaps the fatigue factor makes it more difficult. There's Wilkins. Gough has gone forward. There's Butcher. Gough's now at the edge of the box for Rangers. And a foul by McCall on McKimmie. Picked up by the referee. The free kick to Aberdeen, and Alec McLeish, you can be sure, will be in no great hurry to take this, with Aberdeen leading by 2-1. Looking for Van der Ark. They won it well again. There goes Nicholas with Gough. That's well enough. Wilkins takes no chances. McLeish with the layoff again to Bett. Bett's in trouble. Here's Mo Johnston. Thought about a shot. And they elected to use Wilkins on the right. Here's McCoist. And Snelders pulls off the save of the match. Quite outstanding goalkeeping from Snelders. Johnston out to Wilkins. A great ball in here. McCoist and the head flick on, and what a save from Snelders. Corner kick. And Aberdeen will be delighted about that in view of the effort made by McCoist. There goes Snelders again. Gough went down and the ball was in mid-air, and some protests from the Rangers fans. Well, Richard Gough certainly looking as though he's been through the mill. Well, what a debt Aberdeen owed to Snelders, Ian.
Oh, he's been outstanding, but I mean, as you can sense, the game is not over, because every time Rangers get up there, they look dangerous, and if Rangers do score, I think Mo Johnston will be at the heart of it, because he's the man that seems to get in all the trouble.
Back it goes to Butcher. A high ball favoured again. McLeish has handled these well. There's Mason. Butcher judged the bounce well. There's Johnston again. Now Stephen. Half blocked by Mason. There goes McLeish. And the loose ball picked up by Mason. Always wants to play football in the defence. That's a great ball. Van der Ark has the legs now to test the Rangers defence. Nicholas waits in the middle. Jess arriving late. And a fine challenge there by Butcher, giving the corner kick to Aberdeen. Butcher congratulated by Wilkins, because Rangers certainly were stretched on that occasion. That's the problem about their all-out attack now. They could get caught with Aberdeen break.
It was a super ball by Paul Mason over the top of Terry Butcher for Van der Ark, but give Butcher credit, you know, to make up about 5 yards, and he eventually got there.
Here's Connor with the corner kick. goes David Robertson. McLeish now sending it back in. Ian Ferguson's header out. This is Bett. Connor calls for the ball on the right. Take it to the corner flag, I suspect. Using Jess. Now Connor. Inviting the tackle from Munro to win the throw for Aberdeen. Aberdeen keeping things tight, keeping the ball within the corner flag area. So there's the Aberdeen bench. Jockey Scott on his feet with instructions. Drew Jarvie beside him. Alex Smith still in the director's box. Throw by Bett. Gough winning it despite the attentions of Van der Ark. Here goes McCall on the break now with Johnston. Rangers overloading now on the right with McCoist using Stevens. Blue jerseys now racing towards the penalty area. Back with Wilkins. The early ball played in. There was Robertson. Now McCall. Robertson again. Good defending by the young fullback. And indeed it's an offside decision. It'll be a free kick to Aberdeen. No one noticed the linesman's flag on the far side raised aloft. So it'll be a free kick to Aberdeen inside their own box. Bloodstained figure of Richard Gough will play to the very last second, you can be sure of that. Stevens with the header. Butcher stayed upfield. McLeish to Connor. Now Robertson. Looking for Van der Ark. Good ball from Stevens. Here's Ian Ferguson. Forward it goes towards Johnston. A touch on, there's McLeish. Connor nodding it back to Robertson. Disappointing clearance that. A feature of Aberdeen's play since they went ahead is the way they've tried to keep possession, keep playing passes. Bett got a vital touch, allowing Snelders to come off his line. 7 minutes remaining in extra time. Aberdeen leading by 2 goals to 1. Van der Ark with Gough. Nicholas goes in behind. Good control. May try this himself. Back it goes again to Mason. Down to Van der Ark. And a fine save from Woods. Well, Chris Woods emulating Theo Snelders at the other end. Charlie Nicholas here looking up, setting things up for Paul Mason. Now I think this wasn't quite what Mason intended, but he made it into a good move eventually with a header on. Van der Ark with a shot, well saved by Woods. That will surely have tied the match up. Still very much in the melting pot. There's Connor at the corner. Up goes David Robertson. Stuart Munro's header out. Reaches Jess. Leaning back when he snatched at the shot. So in the director's box there, top right in the picture, Graham Souness with Walter Smith beside him. David Murray a couple of rows further forward. Up goes McLeish. Van der Ark certainly has posed problems in the air for the Rangers defence since he came on. Here's Jim Bett. Taking the ball for a walk, inviting McCall to send it out for a throw or a corner. Now the decision is a Rangers throw. Well, a feature of the match I find very disappointing in this idea of taking the ball to the corner flag.
Yes, I know, Joe, but it is understandable that players are just trying to run down the clock, and you know, it's sort of a natural thing. It's, if you're sitting up here as a neutral, you want to see the game continuing, but if you're down there as a professional, taking the ball to the corner flag and trying to waste a bit of time, it is part and parcel of the game, not necessarily a good part.
Certainly not a good part, Ian, but Aberdeen certainly will do anything they can to cling to this lead now. Here's Rangers coming forward with Ian Ferguson. Looking for the byline. Couldn't find space for the cross. He thought there was a deflection. The linesman doesn't agree. The shake of the head tells Ian Ferguson the story. Well, Ian Ferguson really has lasted well coming back after that injury he sustained 3 weeks ago. And Aberdeen will make their second substitution, partly, I'm sure, to shore up the defence and partly to waste a few more seconds. But here come Rangers again with Stephen. 4 minutes remaining. Stephen's cross. David Robertson's header. Wilkins gets to it again. Here's McCoist, and David Robertson finds Trevor Stephen. It's a good ball in. There's Willie Miller. Now Mason. Aberdeen can't get the ball clear. There's Bett. He's made it. The chase is on for Jess with Munro. Like it goes to Gough. Butcher staying upfield. Cross it goes to the far side. Aberdeen will make a substitution as soon as play stops. The hopeful ball towards Butcher. A good header on. Goes back with Butcher. And the offside flag is up against McCoist, I think. Well, Butcher leading by example right to the last pitch. There's Brian Irvine. Going to come on, I think, to replace young Ian Jess, who's given his all in the Aberdeen cause this afternoon. That's the change that's being made. But just wait for the applause here for Ian Jess. Thoroughly deserved. And Brian Irvine goes on add his power to the Aberdeen defence in these closing minutes. And they're up with Gough. Heather finds Stevens. Another long ball thumped forward, and there goes Snelders. And Willie Miller very upset about Maurice Johnston. Well, both players having a few words to say, and clearly Miller thinks Johnston was play acting when he dived, and Johnston making it clear he doesn't agree. McLeish for the header, turned on there by Nicholas. He has to give chase himself. 2 minutes remaining. Rangers trying to force the match to penalty kicks. There's Munro. And Trevor Stephen. That's a fine left foot cross. Up goes Ferguson. There's Butcher. Now Johnston. And deflected for the corner kick. Johnston looking for a penalty for handball. But there's no way in which any defender could have played that deliberately. Great ball this from Stephen. Pulling it back from the byline left footed. Headed by Ferguson, set up by Butcher for Johnston, and deflected for the corner. Here's Trevor Stephen. Up goes Butcher. There's Johnston, he couldn't get a touch. Well, Terry Butcher caused all the problems there. Just look at the chance here he creates for Johnston, who couldn't make contact. And it's a fine save by Snelders. Well, could this be Rangers' last clear chance? Johnston so deadly normally in the 6-yard box. So here Snelders has had an outstanding match for Aberdeen this afternoon. We're into the final minute of extra time. Aberdeen leading by 2-1. It's an Aberdeen throw again. Back from Wilkins to Munro, and then Wood just over the long ball forward. Butcher has stayed in the centre forward position. There it goes. Irvine gives chase, but there's Johnston down to McCall. Time the enemy for Rangers. Here's Wilkins. And the cross is too long. Snelders wins it well, and it's Butcher who goes careering into the post. No damage done, fortunately. And there goes the final whistle. As this replay is made, there's Theo Snelders. Rangers lose in the last part of extra time. It's Aberdeen the winners by 2-1. Don't go away, we'll be right back. League Cup and the Skull Cup for Aberdeen. John McKenzie, the managing director of the Alloa Brewery Company Limited, presents the Skull Cup to Willie Miller. Jack Steedman, the league president, there with his wife presenting the medals. There's Willie Miller. For the third time he's won the League Cup. the loser twice in a row against Rangers. The first time in 5 finals against Rangers that Aberdeen have been victorious in the League Cup final. The Skoll Cup winners are Aberdeen, with Alex Smith, the manager, smiling happily. It's his first trophy in charge at Aberdeen. And one of the major heroes coming up now, holding the trophy aloft, is Theo Snelders, who was outstanding in goal for Aberdeen. Charlie Nicholas, who played a fine role. But let's join David Livingston with Alex Smith.
Alec, you've done it at last. What's your reaction?
I feel tremendous. I feel great.
What about the game itself?
I thought it was another great game for the fans. It was well worth the money again, and it looked as if it was going to go into the penalty shootout. But I was glad that when we scored the winner, obviously.
You must have been a bit worried. Your heart must have been going there in the second half.
Well, I'm quite a calm guy normally, but I felt it a wee bit in the last quarter hour there. I'm really delighted, particularly for Willie Miller and Alec McLeish.
And of course you had some star players as well.
Every single one of them played really well. Theo Snelders was fantastic.
Alex Smith, thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
All the best.